Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
A continuación, Voces en Acción, el programa comunitario que informa a la comunidad latina. Voces en Acción, la verdad en acción. Voices in Action, the truth in action. Now, con ustedes, Jenny Ibarra.
Hi, this is Jenny with Voces en Acción. Let me talk to you guys about one of our sponsors, First Financial Bank. First Financial Bank can help your dream of becoming a homeowner true. The new affordable mortgage program at First Financial Bank can be a great option for those seeking to achieve this dream for themselves and their families. They are here to help you. For more information, call First Financial Bank at 936-439-1800 and discover how First Financial Bank can help you today. That is 936-439-1800. The American dream is at reach at First Financial Bank. Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC. Hola, les habla Jenny de Voces en Acción y voy a hablar sobre un patrocinador de nosotros, First Financial Bank. First Financial Bank puede ayudar a cualquiera a hacer realidad un sueño de convertirse en propietarios de una casa. El nuevo programa de hipotecas asequibles de First Financial Bank puede ser una gran opción para quienes buscan alcanzar este sueño para ellos y sus familias. Ellos están aquí para ayudarle. Para obtener más información, llame al 936-439-1800 y descubra cómo First Financial Bank puede ayudarle hoy mismo. El número es 936-439-1800. El sueño americano está al alcance en First Financial Bank. Prestamista de vivienda equitativa, miembro FIDC. Thank you for joining us. Thank you so much for being with us today. And I have the honor today of having with me my congressman, because I voted for him, because I trust that I did the right choice personally, and because he's delivering his promises. My name is Jenny Rosales from Voces en Acción, and I got Congressman Mr. Morgan Luttrell with us today, and we're going to be talking about so many things that I have just out of my mind and he has such a short time, so I'm going to take just a little of the time that I can to enjoy his presence. This guy has made it to Texas again after being in the border, after being in Washington fighting for rights, after doing the right things for us. And he has no opponents on this election, so I know he's going to win again. And I am so thrilled for that. Gracias por estar con nosotros. Hoy voy a tomar el tiempo para presentarles nuevamente con nosotros al señor Morgan Luttrell, al congresista, el que nos representa a nosotros, porque yo voté por él, porque fue la mejor elección que hemos hecho, porque está trabajando por nosotros en el Congreso y porque acaba de venir de la franja frontera, donde está trabajando con el equipo que es especialista en inmigración. Vamos a hablar con él en estos momentos y vamos a darle las gracias y la bienvenida. Morgan. It's an honor, sir. I love you, sir. You know you, Leslie, and the kids are in my life, and I love you. Thank you so much for taking your time one more time and coming to the show. And this time, as a congressman, that I'm able to just say, sir, thank you for your service for this community. You're in the ballots again. I don't even have to fight for it because you're going to win again. But I want to start from the beginning. The adaptation part of you, because you had to go through a rough back and forth on the adaptation, on the whole ball game of being a congressman, and now that you're kind of like, is when they're hitting you with all the stuff of immigration.
Well, yes, I don't know if I haven't, in total honesty, I haven't had the ability to take a breath, because just the learning curve of becoming a congressional member is one thing. Learning the
whole bulk of stuff,
the ins and outs of Washington D.C. but you're responsible for everything that you promised.
Exactly.
And then everything else that comes into the congressional house the day you walk in and swear in.
Exactly.
So I've been very busy, which is great because I like to be laser focused, front sight focused on problem sets. And we've made traction in our first year. We're 2 months into our second year, going into our next election cycle. The primary is in a couple of weeks. But we've had some great wins.
Exactly, sir.
Some great legislation.
You made some moves that I was like, wow.
We did. It's been, and I always promised that when I got there, I would stop, look, listen, and feel, and learn DC, learn the dynamics, understand the chessboard, move accordingly, not embarrass the district, don't do anything to walk into a dead end or follow my sword. And I've done that.
Exactly.
And making friendships, and friendships is a very careful word. Okay.
Exactly.
Let's say relationships, making relationships.
Exactly.
Relationships, actually on both sides. And
you have to.
I don't discriminate. I do not discriminate between Democrat and Republican because we both represent 700,000 people.
Exactly.
Right. So, you have to have relationships in D.C. because the Senate belongs to the Democratic Party.
Exactly.
And so if I won't get legislation passed, I have to have Democratic colleagues on board and say, hey, so there's a synergy that exists between us.
Él está tomando esta posición como congresista de la última elección y no ha parado. Para él, el proceso de adaptación, acuérdense que este es un hombre que ha trabajado con la comunidad, vive aquí en Texas, nació aquí, se crió aquí, es un hombre de campo, trabajando y desarrollando su trabajo, trabajó para las militares, un hombre que Dios casi da su vida por la patria y encima de eso ahora comienza con la posición en su primer año y pico de congresista, adaptarse a la vida social, a la vida, vamos a decir, republicana en el Congreso, donde él tiene que no solamente tener el balance de poder pasar las leyes y asegurarse que está representando a miles de personas, sino al mismo tiempo mantener la amabilidad y la cordialidad con la otra Cámara del Senado, que son demócratas, con los cuales tiene que conversar para que pueda pasar sus leyes que él propone en el Congreso. Ha sido, dice, un año de mucha adaptación y lo que vemos es que ha sido tan bueno porque cuando lo ha hecho, y vamos a sacar las cosas buenas que él ha hecho durante este año y vamos a hablar sobre eso, se le ha dado el poder de hacer más de 4 cosas porque lo ha hecho tan bien, que nos está ayudando, sobre todo a toda la comunidad latina, que es donde estamos más impactados con el área de migración. Entonces, Morgan se ha dedicado a estudiar paso a paso las cosas que él tiene que hacer para desarrollarse mejor y al extremo de que en estos momentos en la primaria, que estamos en estos momentos en votaciones, early voting o la parte temprana de votaciones que comenzaron el 20 de este mes y terminan ya próximamente vamos a ver. Él no tiene contendiente, así que automáticamente va a volver a ganar para la posición que tiene. Sir, you are overseeing immigration. Man, they jump you like, boom. They got you right there.
It's, I want everybody to understand. So you have border security, you have
Exactly.
immigration. It's two
different things.
Two different,
Exactly.
completely different things.
Exactly.
Up in Washington, D.C., we have committees have oversight of issues.
Issues,
right?
exactly.
And immigration lives in judiciary, border lives in homeland security.
Okay.
And these two committees have to communicate with each other because border security and immigration, they coalesce.
So Ted Cruz is in the other one. Am I
He's
right?
in the Senate.
It's in the Senate.
He's in the Senate. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he's responsible for immigration policy. And then
That policy
in the lower chamber, the House
where are
Representatives,
you?
there's a judiciary committee that's responsible, and those two entities have to communicate.
Uh-huh.
So you have members. Remember, you have 435 members in the lower
Exactly.
chamber, 100 up top in the Senate, and all of those members have to agree on language. Which is
hard. Ok, este señor, vamos a hablar cómo se divide. La Casa Congresional y la Casa del Senado son completamente independientes. Ellos tienen que jugársela. Son 100 y pico de un lado y 400 del otro. Ellos tienen que tratar de resolver y comunicarse. El problema grande es la comunicación. El señor Ted Cruz está en la parte donde él está en la parte legislativa. Él está trabajando con las leyes y las pólizas y todo lo que hay. El caballero aquí Morgan Luttrell se encarga de lo que es la parte judicial de la casa, en la parte de abajo donde él tiene que sacar el producto de las leyes para que todo eso pase al Senado y que el Senado sea ratificado. Entonces, él está completamente del lado opuesto, no es que en el sentido que está viendo lo mismo, pero al mismo tiempo él está más envuelto. Your job is harder than Ted Cruz.
Well,
I love you, Ted. Don't get me wrong, you're doing great. But what I'm saying is like, you gotta be upbeat on every single knick-knack, on all the stuff.
you do, and there's so many little nuances to it that can be very challenging.
Exactly, sir.
And because each member, like we have a huge Hispanic population in our district.
In our district, exactly.
Montana doesn't have a huge Hispanic population.
Exactly.
North Dakota doesn't have a huge
So
Hispanic
they really
population. Not like we do, right?
Exactly.
In the state of Texas, that's,
They're not going
that's
to
our
care for
history
those
together.
items because they're not. You have to buy them into it, basically.
And so when I take an aggressive posture on, hey, look, this is why we need to secure the border.
Exactly.
And hey, this is why, like I have a colleague on Homeland, Mr. Garcia. He is. And Ms. Ramirez, Democratic colleague, over the top. Ms. Ramirez is an immigrant. Mr. Siscomani came over and is an immigrant. They are overwhelmingly passionate about immigration.
Exactly.
And when they speak, and I hang on every word they say because they've been through the process and they understand the necessity to have immigration policy that's effective.
Exactly.
Okay, and they often, when we're in meetings, they'll hold up a big whiteboard that has the immigration policy on. You can't even read it. You can't understand it. It'll give you a headache. And that's the discussion that we have, is like, how can anybody work this process to become a citizen over 10, 20, however long it's different for everybody. How can anybody do this?
We did it. I did it. I can.
So
tell
you know exactly how
I know
challenging
exactly
it
how
is.
challenging it is.
And I'm of the opinion it doesn't have to be so overwhelmingly difficult.
And for my time, it was easier because my mother, working with Southern Command of the United States, I came with a green card into the United States in aircraft, and I became a U.S. citizen 3 years after. That was my role of doing it. But people walking in, and I can tell you,
I have
sir,
conversations all the time. I've been trying for 20 years to become a citizen.
I have my niece's husband, he's been here for 20-something years already, and he's still waiting for the government to give him, and she's a U.S. citizen. That's what's going on right now, sir.
Because it's this. There's so many different. There's too many people touching it.
Exactly, and it's a lot of bureaucratic. That's what I call it. And I'm going to be honest with you.
It's overwhelmed, and there's too many. Immigration, unfortunately, has turned into a political persuasion.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
that you can't have that. There's things that politics should not live in. One of which is the right for an individual to attain citizenship in the United States of America. So we're having to juggle many balls at one time.
Wow, sir.
And on top of trying to secure our southern and northern borders.
Exactly.
Okay. And clean up the process.
The process.
And the process itself has been, and I say, I hate to use the word broken because it exists. Now,
well, it's not broken. It's segregated. It's not fully implemented. There's
a lot of
flaws.
There's a lot of fractures
exactly.
in it.
And not only that, there's I have to say it, and I don't care who say. To me personally, I believe that there's a lot of corruption of people that are not doing the things that are supposed to be done.
The corruption can be, for Morgan's opinion, right? I'm only speaking for Morgan.
Yeah, exactly.
The corruption's watered down in this process that is so large that, like, if I hand you a case file, you can very easily hand it off to somebody else, and it gets into this trickle down effect.
Exactly.
That it sustains this problem.
I have heard of lawyers, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to put names out there, but I have heard lawyers that have been charging $25,000, $30,000 in a process that probably is $1,500.
Yeah.
So at this point, that it didn't even took that time, because what happened is that piling and have 17 or 18 or 20 cases, and they're just getting money out of it, and they're not doing anything for the person. So the person keeps paying and paying and paying and paying and paying, and they're not looking at any changes on their status. And that's what I'm looking, and I'm facing it myself.
It's the greed.
It is, it's the greedy part of it. Él dice, y le digo claramente que él está viendo cómo estamos, está tratando de limpiar la parte burocrática del proceso, de cómo una persona llega a los Estados Unidos y consigue la legalización, sea ciudadano americano o residente. No, ¿por qué está tomando tanto tiempo y por qué no debe de hacerse así? Entonces, ellos están tratando de arreglar esa ramificación y es difícil, porque hay muchas cosas, como dice él, no vamos a decir que está roto el sistema, porque no está roto, pero tiene pequeñas faltas de corrección, las cuales hay que subyugar, entre ellas la corrupción burocrática, que eso es lo que le estaba diciendo yo a él. Me dice, Jenny, veo la corrupción, pero se está viendo como en la parte más pequeña. Sí, se ven los abogados que quieren tomar el dinero y decir, yo lo proceso, y procesan 30,000 casos y no hacen nada, y la persona sigue esperando y esperando por años a recibir una residencia o una ciudadanía, a la cosa cual no debería pasar. Y como dice él, tiene que haber un proceso más simple. Y eso es lo que Morgan está trabajando, tratar de conseguir el proceso más simple posible para que la persona pueda recibir un estado legal en los Estados Unidos sin tener que ir por diferentes venues y tener que pelear contra lo que es una marea de problemas burocráticos. Sir, I love that you're saying. I wish, yes, there has to be a point on time where the United States has to put everything in a spectrum of easiness. What is the process from the time the person applies for a residency to the process of their becoming a U.S. citizen?
It needs to be challenging to become a U.S. citizen. It has to be challenging to become a U.S. citizen. It doesn't need to be impossible.
I did my test. I passed that question of 100 questions.
I mean,
everybody can do it.
To earn your citizenship, and I didn't have to. I was born here, right?
Yes, sir. Exactly.
So I wish I could speak to the gravity of, I'm sure, how you felt.
Sir, when I came when I swore in, it was the luckiest day of my life. I loved it because I went through the process of being interviewed, taking 100.
So now everything that we're here is yours. You know, you're an American citizen.
I love more because you turn to learn more and know more about the country, because you're gonna love it when they do it the process correctly, I did it.
Yes. And so, again, not impossible, but challenging, because anything that you work extremely hard for, you respect and love even more. That's one of the, again, so let me rewind the tape a little bit, or let me back this up a little bit.
Exactly.
It is something that we are, it's been focused on for so long, but this is what I'd like to tell everybody. It is a very large, hard mathematical equation to solve.
Exactly.
And I'm not an economist or accountant or a mathematician, and so we're trying to write this in a way, and then we have to have agreement between the parties.
Exactly.
Again, because of the polarization.
Exactly.
And I have great conversations with my Democratic colleagues. Like, hey, look, I respect exactly what you're saying. I get it. I totally. And so we're gonna have to tweak it a little bit this way, so my base will understand and respect it, and because I'm an 80-20 guy.
Okay.
If it's 80% sound, I'm going with it.
You're going with it.
And I'll come home to everybody and explain the 20%.
Why the 20% was not exactly.
It's like, hey, look, I had to make this vote. I was 80% confident that this is most effective for the district. There's a 20% I didn't like. You're not going to like it. I took that vote because 80 is better than 20.
Exactly.
And we can move forward.
Exactly.
And that's what we're doing. That's how we're managing it.
Él dice que él es una persona que es 80-20. 80-20 significa que en todos los casos que le toca que votar, él tiene que buscar lo que beneficia al condado, al distrito, a la población que él está representando. Quizás en las leyes que él vote, muchas no les gusta, pero si pueden llegarse entre las dos cámaras de la republicana y la demócrata en un arreglo, al menos 80% que sea aprobado. Él dice que él toma el riesgo y vota por el 80% con tal de quizás 20% que quizás a la gente no le gusta. Pero él prefiere tomarlo de esa manera. Entonces él viene de vuelta a su distrito y le explica a los constituyentes, bueno, sabes que yo voté en esta ley esto, porque yo considero que era lo que era más beneficiario para el distrito de Texas, para el distrito octavo de Texas, para que nosotros como comunidad fuéramos representados. Sí, van a haber cosas que no se gustan del 100% de una ley, pero las otras se hacen un bien común y esas son las que se implementan. El sistema, como dice él, tengo que echarme para atrás, el sistema está completamente de manera inadecuada escrito, pero él dice que hay que ponerse en línea cómo perspectivamente una persona cuando cruza la frontera llega, cómo puede legalizarse, cómo no, si no puede legalizarse, qué es lo que puede hacer y si no se tiene que ir. Todo eso tiene que ponerse en constancia, pero como dice él, las dos cámaras tienen que estar de acuerdo. Esto ya no se puede hacer de una persona, simple y sencillamente muchos colegas demócratas están también trabajando al respecto y están viendo las constituciones de los que ellos representan, que son un grupo de demócratas como lo quieren. Todos tenemos eso es lo bueno de la mancuerna de lo que se llama el gobierno de los Estados Unidos de América, porque ellos saben cómo balancearse. That's a good thing, and I'm just going to say it in English, about the government of the United States that is so beautifully written that you guys are able to come accountant into everything. That means you guys balance yourself between the House, between the White House, between the Senate and Capitol and the Supreme Court. You guys are working together to make sure that one bill doesn't affect, but improves the health of what citizens.
And that's why it's so challenging. There can be a misconception on the pace at which government works because they think it's very slow. And it is. It's a very slow process to pass legislation, and it's supposed to be. If you move a piece of legislation through too quickly, that the members of the chambers, House and Senate, have not had the opportunity to really debate and engage and understand. Okay. Where it's like, hey, this sounds great, let's just vote on it. Yeah, and then it goes to the Senate and they don't read it. And they send it to the White House and the president signs it. Now the courts are responsible for enforcing a law that may not have been appropriate. So the questions often, hey, he's like, what is taking you guys so long to do this? Is like, it has to be right.
Exactly.
And the way that the parties, unfortunately, in 2024 are very polarized, legislation that the Republican Party will want to push across the Democrats just a lot of times like, hey, because it's a Republican policy, we're gonna chew this up a little bit, and then we have friction.
Exactly.
And then it stalls. And the Republican Party can vote it out because we're the majority.
Exactly.
And the Senate will be like, if there's no Democrats on it, it's dead in the water.
No. Wow. Dice que quiere que sepa que el proceso toma tiempo. Eso no, el balance de las tres cámaras del Congreso, todo lo que es el balance mismo de lo que es el gobierno, toma una decisión de paso a paso. No se puede, cuando la gente pregunta por qué te estás tomando tanto tiempo en pasar una ley, no es tan fácil pasar una ley. Muchas leyes son republicanas, están hechas, están bien y se pasan y van. Pero muchas leyes no, muchas leyes tienen que congregarse, que tienen que hablar, que se tienen que discutir, que tienen que disminuir, porque si no se pasa muy rápidamente, y son firmadas por el presidente, y el presidente las firma y de una vez se convierte en una ley. La Corte Suprema las convierte en ley. Y esas leyes quizás son malas para el gobierno, y quizás completamente malas para todo el país. ¿Ok? Entonces, que él dice que toma un proceso tenue, pero que tiene que hacerse detalladamente para que pueda funcionar, o si no, no se puede funcionar. Your life has changed. You and Leslie, I feel sorry for you both. I'm so sorry. I love your wife to death. How are you handling traveling so many miles, sir? You're doing miracles. I used to see your the person before you, Congressman Brady. But I thought it was easy. And then when I saw one time how he was doing it, I'm like, he didn't have babies at that time. How are you doing it with you and Leslie? I have to ask you that question.
It's very challenging. It is. It's I won't say it is hard on the family, but it's necessary because of the responsibilities that I have as a member of Congress. And Leslie and the boys understand that. And she's great. She handles the homestead very well. She balances the son's lives as well as hers, and then while I'm out, exactly. Normally 3 weeks out of the month,
exactly,
all year. That is the main reason that I won't be doing this for a very extended period of time. I like to say that.
Exactly.
But we manage very well. And I try to incorporate them. If we have events around the district, I take Leslie and the boys. I try to bring them to D.C. when possible. Exactly. School makes it very challenging.
Exactly.
when I'm home, I drop them off, the boys off at school. I pick them up from school, and I if it's not necessary for me to be somewhere, I am at home with my family.
Exactly.
And that really helps out tremendously.
And then I will say this: God bless you. You are a wonderful father, amazing husband.
Thank you.
And that's something that I can see in Leslie's eyes. And I can, every time I hug her, I talk to her, and I see your voice, I'm like, I'm so glad that God gave you that tool, that you're able to do it, because not many women are able to stand by in a stronghold and say, yeah, my husband is fighting for this country. Yeah. And he's doing it. You did it already when you were in a fight for us in the front line, and now you're doing it again. And that's something that I'm very proud of saying you're my friend because of that. Yo le pregunto cómo él hace para trabajar de esta manera, porque él está en Washington 3 semanas del mes. La última semana está acá. Él tiene que acá llegar y reportarse con todas las personas con las que tiene que hablar, todos los constituyentes que le donan, todas las personas que trabajan con él, toda su oficina, todo su staff tienen que estar constantemente en reuniones con él. ¿Cómo lo hace para tener una vida? Porque tiene 2 hijos chicos y tiene una esposa, como todos tenemos nuestra vida. Él se sacrificó ya anteriormente en una guerra. Él y el hermano, los dos pelearon en guerra y han defendido a los Estados Unidos de América. Y ahora él está volviendo a sacrificar su vida personal para poder estar con sus hijos, estar con su esposa, e irse y pelear por nosotros como constituyentes de él, para que él pueda decir, sabes que mi gente no quiere esto, mi gente quiere protección en el border, mi gente quiere una relación completa con lo que es el Departamento de Homeland Security, mi gente quiere asegurarse que los votos estén correctos. Todo eso está peleando él. Y me dice que es duro. Es duro porque a veces no ve a Leslie, a veces él tiene que llevar, y los niños los deja, cuando está aquí, los deja en la escuela, a veces los lleva a Washington cuando le permiten en la escuela, a veces no puede. O sea, él ha perdido un poco de las cosas, pero el tiempo de calidad que le puede permitir a su familia, lo hace, porque tiene que estar aquí. Sir.
Yeah, because I got home after being gone for 4 weeks.
Exactly.
And then this week I went to the border.
Oh my God.
I
So you were like,
I got back last night.
They haven't even really seen you right now.
No, they haven't.
Sir, going back to the border issue, and I have to say, you just came from the border. I went, and I cannot cry more because I couldn't cry more. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is Del Rio, McAllen. You can see the damages of the invasion of people sleeping on the floors in the highways, people everywhere. There's people everywhere, sir.
It's like war zone.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And then it feels like we're in Iraq. I'm sorry, and I have never been to Iraq, but they told me that it's something like that.
So it's funny you should say that, because yesterday when I was walking through town, and we were in Eagles Pass.
Eagles Pass, they told me,
the dust was kicking up, and the razor wire was everywhere. It reminded me of being over in Iraq.
Oh, my God, Padre Eterno.
It's kind of an uncomfortable flashback, and it was unfortunate that I'm standing on the border of my state.
And you're seeing these.
And this was happening. But it's happening.
People are asking in my community, is Governor Abbott doing the right thing? Are we able to just tell the United States federal government, stay away, this is our tax, this is your state, and can we save ourselves? Because even the Hispanic community, they're asking,
sure,
why are we having this madhouse of drugs coming in, and trafficking of women, trafficking of kids, rapes, all the type of cochinadas, I would call them, and Texas was not like that. Texas was a safe haven.
All right, so I'm going to get into the details with you. So I'll speak in kind of short segments.
So I can translate it, yeah.
Right, all right. And I'm going to break down what I saw past 2 days at the border and kind of the numbers and where they are. They're extremely low. That the numbers of crossings.
It's low now compared to what it was.
From 5,000 3 days ago to under 200.
Oh, thanks the Lord.
But it's tricky. Okay, so
exactly,
it's tricky. So the first question is what Governor Abbott and the state of Texas is doing at the border effective? Yes, and this is how. It is making a statement to the federal government that we are done with the federal government not doing anything. Okay. Because of the overwhelming rush in our state and how we're feeling it, from the border towns to here in Montgomery County.
Here.
Governor Abbott and the elected officials are listening to the Texans saying enough.
Okay.
So Governor Abbott acted.
according to what is lawfully done by the state. Am I
And
right?
the state, so here's where the state and the United States government are colliding. Right here now we have a constitutional argument opposed to a state argument and states' rights.
Okay.
Now, in the amendments
Okay.
and in the Bill of Rights, you have statements about state and federal government, how they coalesce. Right? And there's the argument. I appreciate and respect what Governor Abbott is doing because it has helped stop the bleed. Okay, now we got to figure this out in court. And I spent time with the Customs and Border Patrol yesterday, also with state troopers and Texas National Guard.
Okay.
They're not at war with each other. And when you see it on the media, there's like, oh, the National Guard.
The media is destroying the information.
And they say,
exactly.
oh, CBP is going after the state. It's not the case. It's not the case at all. There's no arguments. There's an understanding that it is a state and a federal issue that are colliding. It has nothing to do with the people that are standing there on the ground. They're not beating each other up. They're not cussing each other out. They say, hey, look, let them figure out up here at my level, and then we'll move.
Let me go ahead and translate
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
sir. Él está hablando, le preguntó, vamos a hablar sobre lo que está pasando. Él acaba de realizar 2 días de estar en la frontera. Se juntó con los representantes de lo que es la parte federal y la parte estatal. Le pregunté claramente, el estado, el gobernador de Texas, el señor Greg Abbott, él está haciendo el trabajo correctamente de mandar a la frontera todas las tropas del estado de Texas para la protección de nuestra salvaguardia. Y me dice, Jenny, el gobernador está haciendo correctamente lo que él tiene que hacer, porque está previniendo el auge. Ya bajaron de los últimos días de 5,000 emigrantes cruzando ilegales a 200 en los últimos días. Automáticamente se está bajando la cantidad. Le pregunté, yo fui y yo vi lo que hemos encontrado es que es una zona de guerra como si fuera Irak. Y me dice, qué raso, que ahorita me lo acabo de decir y estoy viéndome. Tú estás pasando por Eagle Pass y estás viendo los wires, estás viendo las casas, estás viendo todo, es como si estuviera en Irak. Y él estuvo en Irak personalmente, así que él sabe cómo es eso allá. Es una zona de guerra completamente. La gente durmiendo en las calles, no hay comida, no hay asistencia, hay un montón de problemas y eso es lo que está diciendo. El gobierno federal está diciendo, no nos importa. Pero el estatal tiene que decir, sí nos importa porque tú estás infringiendo en lo que se llama el derecho de la comunidad del Estado y automáticamente no podemos permitirte. Entonces, lo que están haciendo es poniendo en la televisión como si la Policía Federal está en contra de las estatales y están peleando. No hay peleas, nadie está peleando, nadie está discutiendo. Están tratando de organizarse para ver qué parte federalmente les toca, en qué lugares, en qué parte de las fronteras tienen que pararse los federales y en qué parte les tocan los estatales. Eso se tiene que distinguir. Automáticamente se está poniendo de esa manera porque esa es la manera correcta. Pero muchas veces la media, lo que es la comunicación, televisión, radio, difusión, están hablando lo que no es porque no han ido directamente a la franja fronteriza en Eagle Pass en este momento, o quizás del Río, o el área de McAllen, a ver realmente lo que está pasando en el cruce. Eso no lo han visto, no lo dicen. Ellos dicen lo que quieren hablar, pero no les están dando la información correcta. The information is so bogus. There's a lot of Hispanic people saying, they're going to deport us. They're going to take us out. I've been here 20 years. I don't have any papers. Am I going to get deported, Miss Jenny? Is that SB4 whatever law is going to pass? You saw about the SB4 whatever?
So that never even made it to me.
No.
I get questioned about that quite a bit. Hey, what do you think about it? I never even saw it. It never made it.
I never made it to. I don't think it even made it to anything.
That was just sitting in the Senate, and Speaker Johnson killed it.
Am I
said,
right?
hey, I'm not touching it. So I never even got to read it. So
Can you imagine?
I don't even know exactly what's on it.
Is that basically, according to what they were saying, is the power of the police officers to report whoever is legal and illegal and get deported. I don't think the United States has the manpower to deport everybody at this point.
I don't know what's on it. I can't even speak to it. I wish I could. I don't ever speak on legislation I've never read.
Exactly, sir.
So I have to be continued on that one. But going back to the border, so last week we were still at about 5,000 people coming across.
Coming across, exactly.
Okay. And like you said, so they have the razor wire, they have the barricades. The shelf, the water shelf itself is very closed off. Okay, I mean it looks like a military compound.
Wow.
Which is terrible. just aesthetically. You know, I hate to see that on our state, but it's there. 5,000 up to last week. Day before yesterday, it bumped up like 700 people. It was hot, and so I think people were trying to make movement.
Okay.
But it went from under 200, from 5,000, it went down to 200 in Eagles Pass.
Okay.
All right, so here's how this happened, how the numbers went negative.
Went negative, but in that area, we're not talking about California, Arizona. That is
so they're bad.
They're bad. I'm serious. Oh my God.
There was discussions. So we went south.
Exactly.
Okay, and we were talking to the administration in Mexico, and there's a train that runs the complete length, BNSF all the way.
I know.
And the migrants were riding the train from Mexico all the way to Eagles Pass, offloading, because when the train hits Eagles Pass, it goes through inspection.
That train has a name. You know that, am I right?
And what is it?
La Mula.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's an old story for you guys.
Okay.
There's trains that they catch in the middle of the night. There's trains. They have several hours. They get up from El Salvador all the way until Texas in the train. You guys not even checking on that.
They are now. So that's what happened.
Thanks to God that somebody's catching it, because I've been knowing this story for many years.
So Mexico moves the military and the police officers, and
Exactly.
they're starting to do multiple inspections. And if you get caught on the train, you get sent all the way back to the southern border of Mexico.
Wow.
All right. That stopped that mass flow all the way to the line. Now that body is still down there somewhere.
Exactly.
Right? So
Exactly.
the discussions that we're having is like, all right, eventually that's coming.
Exactly.
It's just not coming as fast.
Exactly.
It gives Customs and Border Patrol the ability to maneuver.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of, hey, come on in here, process, out you go, New York, Chicago, we're moving.
Mm-hmm.
As of now, they flipped everything completely on the other side. Where they were sending 80% into the country and 20% back, now they're sending 80% out and processing the 20 that have viable claims through port of entry in.
So hold on one second. You got me on that one. That means they're sitting in the border in Mexico, literally, and they're saying, well, where is crossing? They're crossing. 20% are staying over here, and the 80% are being shipped to where? To Mexico, to wherever they're supposed to be. Okay.
It's because the numbers are so low.
Okay.
Right? So it's under 200. So when they get apprehended by the Customs and Border Patrol into the processing center, now the processing center has the ability to sit them down, and they're not overwhelmed.
Exactly.
They don't have thousands and thousands. The walls aren't falling down.
Exactly.
So now everybody can be adjudicated properly. And
if they
your asylum save's not tracking, and you can't come over here just because you need a job, all that kind of stuff. So again, instead of 80% coming into the country, 80% is going somewhere else, and then that 20% that are asylum seekers, political, religious,
that's the ones that
they're the ones getting paroled into the country.
Into the country, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, estamos hablando sobre, bueno, nuevamente, lo que es el auge de la frontera. Dice que, como dijo anteriormente, el auge ha bajado, ¿sí? En el área de Texas, no en el área de Arizona, no en el área de California. Ahí están pasando mucho trabajo. O sea, que todavía siguen infiltrándose. Encima de eso, bajaron de unos 5,000 a unos 200 en los últimos días. En los 200 de esos que están llegando, están siendo procesados por emigración en los centros comunicativos de emigración donde tienen que procesarse. Si la persona llega porque le da la gana de llegar y sencillamente cree que puede conseguir asilo político, no va a conseguir asilo político, va a ser deportado, se lo va a devolver a su país. El 20% de los que se quedan son las personas que tienen problemas que pueden ser adjudicados como asilo político. O sea, personas que tienen problemas severos, los cuales tienen que salir huyendo de sus países. Vamos a decir, personas como en Venezuela, en Nicaragua, cosas así, que son países prioritarios para los Estados Unidos, porque son personas que están pasando por problemas y que tienen que salir saliendo por su vida. Pero no es que están cruzando como antes. El 80% lo están mandando para afuera. Eso está pasando aquí ahorita mismo en el área de Eagle Pass, para que lo sepan. Es decir, no sé en las otras áreas, pero eso es lo que él está viendo en las últimas semanas. Entonces, todo eso se tiene que tomar en consideración, de que acuérdense que mientras menos mientras más lleguen a la frontera, más trabajo hay, menos oficiales para poder servir y automáticamente más caos hay. Ahora, con el bloqueo de los wires y de los policías y de la federal y de la estatal, las Fuerzas Armadas en esa área, ya es mucho más difícil y más fácil para migración de procesar los realmente necesitados, dejarlos entrar, y los que no están necesitados, mandarlos para atrás. Eso es lo que está pasando.
So and there was a third thing. So you have what the state of Texas did.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
You have the Mexican government with the train.
Exactly.
And then they shut the port down.
They
stopped all trade
movements from Mexico
across the border
through trains
for a few hours.
For a few hours.
And then that sent the message south that said, "Hey, we're done here. You need to start policing your stuff up."
Ok, acuérdense que viene la mula. La mula, la que llamamos mula, todos conocen lo que es la mula, que es el tren. En ese tren, ellos acaban de darse cuenta prácticamente que ese tren existía. Ese tren, todos los que sabemos de migración, sabemos que ese tren tiene años cruzando gente y que van cruzando. Ya los están investigando, se están parando el tren ya no está llegando. Se cerró esa parte. Y lo que hicieron ahorita mismo, forzaron a México en lo que se llama el libre acuerdo de tratado de transportación económico, de intercambio, ¿ok? Lo cerraron por ciertas horas, diciéndole a México: si tú no controlas a los inmigrantes, estamos listos ya. Texas ya no aguanta más, no queremos más intercambio. Entonces, eso está llamando la atención de las autoridades en México para poder prevenir el auge que viene, porque acuérdense que muchos se quedan en el final de las fronteras por allá, por cerca entre Guatemala y ¿cómo se llama? Y México. Y se quedan allí tratando de seguir de venir. Y eso es lo que va a tratar de seguir viniendo, y se van a tratar de seguir viniendo. Y eso es lo que los Estados Unidos quiere prevenir. Sir, this is a complex issue, and God bless you. And then, of course, you're new into it. It makes you more self-aware of things and the mistakes that we have been making in so long, and people are not even paying attention on it.
The problem got so big so fast that it was very challenging for Customs and Border Patrol, State of Texas, National Guard, DPS to corral it.
Corral it, exactly.
Get it into a round pen where, hey, we can control it, because there's so many folks. For instance, the CBP One app that you can download on your phone in any other country. You put all your information in, it goes into the CBP database. CBP will send you a text message that says, "Hey, show up on February 23rd at Eagle Pass Bridge 1 for processing."
Okay.
So a man, woman, a family will come across. They'll show, "Hey, this is us." They'll come into the processing center, and they will be processed. They'll be tested.
Exactly,
make sure everything, right?
Everything.
And they move through different sections, and then if they are cleared, they are paroled into the country for 2 years.
Parole into the country. That means
Literally, you'll come in that door,
and
you'll sit with multiple people, and they'll say, "You are paroled."
That means you're able to stay for 2 years, and then after 2 years, you got to get out of here.
2 years, 2 years, you see your judge.
To see your judge.
To see if your claims is worth being here. So in one day, you're out that door into the United States, but you're not allowed to work. So the government...
It's weird. This is so weird. Yeah, I understand, sir.
So in one of the rooms, here's your iPhone. This is how we're going to track you, right? Here is a phone list of nonprofits that will assist you. Here's the numbers in the federal government that you need to call to get health care, and so on and so forth.
And they're doing this for specific countries. Venezuela
is very tricky.
Exactly. What about Nicaragua?
If you come across with an asylum claim and you're paroled out, you get it.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. When I was talking to the folks that were working the border, a lot of people were like, "Hey, we're coming over seeking asylum, and if you're going to give me a check for $50,000 a year and I don't have to do anything,
that's what they're doing.
That's way better than being where I'm at, because they're gonna give you like in New York City, they're putting you up in the high-rise buildings.
So the question is this one: they're giving them money.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Ay, mijo lindo, I'm so sorry. Now I have to ask you. So that means it's coming out of my taxes.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Ok, miren, para que vean, todavía se quejan, están entrando con asilo político, le están dando seguro médico y se les está dando comida y dinero en efectivo a los que califican. Cuando en su tiempo o en el mío, que yo vine hace 40 años, eso no existía. Y nosotros tuvimos que matarnos y pagar impuestos. Usted está pagando impuestos sobre esto. Yo estoy pagando impuestos sobre esto y no me está gustando. I'm sorry.
When they come across, they get a brand new iPhone. iPhone, not a flip phone, an iPhone. And it has the information on it so the government can get in touch with them. And then you've heard like New York City is giving $35 million to the illegal migrants that are in New York City. They're moving them into school. It's literally out of mind-blowing control. And the state of Texas spent $8 billion last year of our money. 8 billion with a B, not million.
Sir, I am so sorry to hear that you, as a veteran, have to see your co-workers, your family in the floor, not being able to sleep or have their health taken care, and they fought for this war, and they're U.S. citizens, and they're not getting a penny when these people are crossing the border, and they're receiving whatever they feel like, just because they have supposed to claim a political asylum issue.
If you go into the bigger cities, or even the smaller cities down there, you'll hear the population saying, "Hey, look, we're dying anyway." And now in Eagles Pass, Texas, if you have to go to the emergency room, you better go to another city.
Oh my God.
You can't call an ambulance. They're sprawled out across the county, pulling people that cross the water illegally into the medical system. So the residents, and I was talking to a rancher 2 nights ago, he's like, if I got to go to the hospital, I have to go all the way to San Antonio.
Hello.
Well,
oh no, sir, this needs to stop.
And it's because of it's that mass rush. It's it was 300,000 people in December, something similar right in January.
300,000 people in December
came across.
So we're talking about, in the last 3 months, probably over 10.
So in the last 3 months,
300.
So
yeah,
3,369,
probably 900,000,
800,000 people. Yeah, and so those are the ones that came through the port of entry.
Exactly, those are the ones that are. They have an iPhone and they have whatever.
This year alone, 18,000. Known gotaways where they saw them on a camera out.
They were running around.
They didn't come through the port of entry. 18,000 snuck in. So those are the ones. Hey, they're carrying drugs, they're carrying guns, they're smuggling bodies.
Exactly.
And there's 18,000. You know how you can do a lot of bad things with 18,000
of
people.
them. Especially, I heard that they're coming from Panama in the river. They're crossing, and a lot of them are men. They're coming with kids that are not his kids or their kids.
Not theirs, yep.
And they're trafficking those kids. And they're saying, and I saw, because of the interview that they had, some of them, they don't even know the names of the kids. And is that your kid? Why are you bringing? Where's the mom? Oh, we got divorced. Yeah, all of you guys got divorced because all of you have a kid? Mm-hmm. Okay, no, this is madness, sir. This is supposed to stop. Quiero que sepan una cosa. Esto no es normal y quiero que miren y que se pongan la mano en el pecho los que me están escuchando. Él está trabajando, está tratando de ver la situación y la situación está fuera de lo normal. ¿Por qué? Están llegando, se cruzaron por fuera sin contar más de 18,000 personas solamente en 3 meses. Eso no lo estamos contando. Estamos a los que nunca pasaron la parte de Border Patrol y nunca se afilaron a un asilo político. Alrededor de 900,000 están entrando le dan un iPhone gratis, el teléfono se lo da el gobierno, le dan seguro médico y le dan comida porque no pueden trabajar, así que automáticamente eso es lo que está pasando en el border, señores. Él habló con un ranchero en Eagle Pass y dice que para poder llamar al 911, no llames al 911 si estás viviendo en Eagle Pass, porque no vas a conseguir ningún tipo de asistencia médica. La persona más cercana va a ser San Antonio. Tienes que viajar casi 2 horas para llegar a San Antonio para que te veas. Que si te estás muriendo en Eagle Pass, te vas a quedar allí. No hay asistencia médica porque todas las asistencias médicas están sacando a la gente del agua, están tratando de ayudar a los que se están jugando, a los que están cruzando ilegalmente. Eso es lo que están haciendo los médicos y los primeros responders en Eagle Pass, cuando era una ciudad que era pequeña, que realmente no tiene la capacidad para ningún tipo de esto. O sea, esto que está pasando es increíble y no se puede aceptar. En Nueva York se le ha dado miles y millones de dólares a los ilegales. ¿Por qué? Porque quieren hacerlo de esa manera. Texas no puede. Texas tiene ya gastado más de 8 millones de dólares solamente en asistencia para ayudar a los que están ya no podemos más. Están saliendo de mi bolsillo, del bolsillo del señor Luttrell, del bolsillo de todos los residentes legales, ciudadanos americanos que vivimos aquí en el estado de Texas, que estamos trabajando por un mejor Texas. Y ese es el problema. Hay que cerrar la frontera. Hay que cerrar y lo siento. No hay excusas. Sir, I want to know before you go, because we have short time. You got to go, and you have coming up on an event. I want you to give me 5 things that you are satisfied that you did this year on the Congress. Just short,
yeah,
5 things.
I've got way more than 5, but yeah,
Well,
that's easy.
prior things that make you like, yes, we did this, and then the 3 or 4 things that you're gonna push from now on that I want.
Sure, absolutely easy. The 5 accomplishments that you asked for. A lot of those, because I'm on the Veterans Affairs Committee,
exactly.
and I was able to get an increase in pay for our veteran community and their housing allowance.
Amén.
That was actually signed by the
Vamos a
president,
hablar de 5 cosas que él trabaja. Él está en el comité no solamente de migración, sino en el comité también de los veteranos, de affairs de veteranos, que son los que trabajaron y los que trabajan por el país y le han dado su vida en las guerras. Go ahead. So you increase their housing and their
so as a veteran,
spending.
because the inflation keeps going up, you know, the cost of housing and everything, and the veterans that are the disabled veterans, there was no change there. So I was able to debate and move legislation that allowed an increase in pay for our veterans through the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Ok, la primera cosa, agarró y los veteranos deshabilitados van a poder tener un ingreso un poco más alto en sus beneficios de casa y beneficios económicos. Eso fue lo primero que él hizo cuando llegó. Go ahead, sir.
Let's do a local one.
Okay, let's do a local one.
So we were able to help hundreds and hundreds of people with their visas, their Social Security cards, and I was able to get
passports,
multiple children into the service academies.
Yes.
So Navy, Air Force, yeah, that was a big.
Dice que él le da una cosa ahorita mismo porque dice que habla sobre las cosas locales. Ayudó a muchas personas aquí localmente en el área de Texas a conseguir sus visas, conseguir ¿cómo se llama? Entrar a la naval, a la Fuerza Aérea, al Army, a hacer el proceso mucho más fácil de esa manera. He estado trabajando con la comunidad acerca de eso. As well, you were helping people getting passports, because I know that you did. Ayudó a muchos a expeditar los pasaportes en necesidad. Eso lo está haciendo él, también lo está haciendo. What else?
I was able to get funding from the federal government for our 5 counties in District 8 for roads, bridges.
Consiguió fondos para la estructura de construcciones de calles y construcciones de puentes en el área de nosotros, en todo el área del condado del distrito 8. Esos fueron los fondos que consiguió. What else?
And the 5th one would be in the Department of Defense. Technology is moving towards what we call hypersonic capability. So you have subsonic, sonic, supersonic,
and hypersonic.
So China and Russia have they say they have hypersonic capabilities.
Okay.
We don't.
Okay.
And I was able to get funding and legislation pushed in order to
for the
advance
hypersonic. Okay.
Hypersonics.
Hay varios tipos en lo que se llama el sistema tecnológico hipersónicos. Es lo más alto, significa que va a un speed de límite más allá de lo que es normal. Él pudo conseguir el fondo necesario para que el Departamento de Defensa de los Estados Unidos tenga lo que se llama la posibilidad de llegar a un lugar, a un nivel hipersónico, más allá del sonido, significativamente, y que puedan trabajar más fácilmente en el acceso de información y data a nivel mundial. Sir, I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
And then now, 3 things that you're going to be pushing out.
So this upcoming year, we have our appropriate how we're going to fund the country. And they
Okay,
call it
funding appropriations.
So that is paramount.
Okay.
That's what I'm. It's obviously border immigration. You can throw that out as number one. That's our district. The other one is passing the appropriations so we can fund the government appropriately instead of going into continuing resolution. Which
Because of all the deficits that we have.
Yeah, we're still in it from 2022 or 23, and.
Ok, va a haber 3 cosas con lo que él va a estar trabajando. La parte de migración, como estábamos hablando anteriormente, él tiene que seguir trabajando en eso, es parte de él y él tiene que trabajar. También la apropiación, lo que se llama apropiación significa los fondos federales que se administran y que se dan para poder cubrir todos los Estados Unidos en sí. ¿Cómo se llama? La base de lo que es la economía y cómo puede trabajarse apropiadamente en cada estado, en cada distrito, en cada colonia, en cada lugar. Eso es lo que va trabajando él. And then?
So the last one is we actually have American forces at war right now.
How can I pull them?
In the Middle East, and I want the Ukraine war to be over, and I want our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines out of the Middle East.
Amen to that. Ahora, la última cosa que quiere decir, que quiere trabajar para ver si se pueden venir a casa todos aquellos que están peleando en guerra. Queremos terminar la guerra en Ucrania. Hay que terminar las guerras en todos lados, sacar a todos los soldados, los Marines, los Air Force, todos los que están trabajando, muchos han perdido su vida, muchos están dando su vida por nosotros, sacarlos de esos lugares para que vengan a sus casas. Ya es tiempo que no haya más guerras en este país. Sir, it is an honor. I am so happy, and I'm going to go ahead and vote today, and I'm going to go and click again, Morgan Luttrell, and I'm happy because I did it, and because I know that you're going to make a change in everybody's world, at least around in Montgomery, you're doing it, and we can see it. All your constituency is so happy that we have you, and we see you along with Ted Cruz fighting, and that's something that Mr. Ted Cruz is a good friend for me. I love that guy to death, and people think I'm crazy, but just, his father is so passionate. They're people that they believe in God deeply, and the county, and the country, and the protection, and the humanity part of it. You know what I mean? We need those cartels to be completely destroyed. We need peace in Texas and the United States.
I actually sent a piece of I'm moving a piece of legislation through the House right now. It's a capture kill order for the Jalisco cartel.
Wow.
It's pretty brazen.
Dice que está tratando ahorita mismo con una ley donde va a comenzar a trabajar con la eliminación completamente del cartel, de uno de los carteles muy fuertes, que es Jalisco, que queda en México. Y esperemos que Dios lo proteja, porque esas son leyes las cuales mucha gente pierde la vida en solamente tratar de implementarla. Gracias a Dios tenemos personas como el señor Morgan Luttrell, que está trabajando por nuestro condado, por nuestro país y por todos nosotros. Sir, any other words that you would like to talk to the Hispanic community?
No, I just say have a very blessed day, and walk outside every day, take a deep breath of fresh air, and know that we still live in the greatest country on the planet.
Ok, dice que les da que pasen un buen día, que tengan un buen día, y que cada vez que salgan afuera tomen aire profundo y se den cuenta que están viviendo en el mejor país del mundo, los Estados Unidos de América. Gracias a ustedes por estar hoy con nosotros. Definitivamente tengo que cortar porque tenemos otros compromisos. Nos veremos en nuestra próxima edición. Thank you so much for being there. Thank you, Mr. Morgan Luttrell, for being with us. The love and the patience and the amount of power that God is giving you, and I know that you're using it correctly. Thank you for your devotion to our country, and thank you for being my friend.
Absolutely.
Gracias. Thank you so much, guys, for being with us. We'll see you in our next edition of Voces en Acción. Have a good day. Hey, this is Jenny from Voces en Acción. We're going to talk about one of our sponsors, First Financial Bank. Are you ready to make your dreams come true in home ownership? The new affordable mortgage program at First Financial Bank can be a great option for you and your family. We're here to help you. Call 936-439-1800. Again, 936-439-1800. And discover how can we assist you. The American dream is at your reach at First Financial Bank, equal housing lender, member FDIC. Hola, les habla Jenny de Voces en Acción y hoy vamos a hablar sobre uno de nuestros patrocinadores, First Financial Bank. ¿Listo para hacer realidad su sueño de comprar su propio hogar? El nuevo programa hipotecario de vivienda accesible de First Financial Bank puede ser una opción excelente para usted y su familia. Están a sus órdenes llamando al 936-439-1800. Nuevamente, el número es 936-439-1800 y descubra cómo le pueden asistir. El sueño americano está a su alcance en First Financial Bank. Prestamista de vivienda equitativa, miembro FIDC.
Esto fue Voces en Acción, el programa comunitario que informa a nuestra comunidad latina. Voces en Acción, la verdad en acción. Voices in Action, the truth in action. Hasta nuestra próxima edición.